Hello everyone, I'm Cameron, and today on the Lab Maniacs, we're walking on sunshine. Whoa! While walking on sunshine, we are talking about Heliod Suncrowned, and a competitive EDH deck archetype built around him. With lots of white hate bears and a few A plus B combos, we have a mono white deck that throws on the brakes, drops the anchor, and makes everyone else play at white speed. And then burns them all down with the power of the sun. And some life-linking death rays, known as Triskelion and Walking Ballista. Now, I want to thank Apotheosis and the Heliod community for working on the deck and the primer. This is a very unique deck and a unique commander, so it's fun to see mono white getting to shine. If you want to learn more about the deck or join the Discord, a link to both the deck and the Discord is in the description down below. So let's talk about the main combo of the deck. Most of it sitting in the command zone. Heliod. He can give a creature lifelink and then can put +1/+1 counters on creatures whenever you gain life. Then the B for the A plus B is a creature that lets you remove a +1/+1 counter to deal damage. We use Heliod to give it lifelink, and then dealing damage gains life, replacing itself with another +1/+1 counter, and getting you unlimited damage without any further mana investment, and killing all of your opponents. We need Heliod in play, Walking Ballista in hand, and 5 white to go off. We can cast a Ballista for 4, X at 2, so that it comes in with 2 counters on it and can survive us removing one of them. And then once it's in play, we play 1 and a white and give it lifelink. And we're there. It also works with Triskelion, it just costs a little bit more at 7 and a white to go off. We have a solid combo line and only need to get one of them from our deck. Now, we need to address how we can survive until we get there. Well, the answer is stacks, some stacks, and maybe some stacks on the side of your stacks. And did I mention stacks? Yes, we have stacks. We're stopping enter the battlefield effects. We're taxing spells. We're limiting card draw. We're limiting people to 1 spell a turn and making permanents come into play tapped. Everything we can do in order to slow down the game back down to white speed. Also, some cool pieces of tech that silence our opponents or even counter spells. Our main hate is directed at the Demonic Consultation and Underworld Breach decks. Torpor Orb effects to stop triggers like Thassa's Oracle, Rule of Law effects to limit people to a single spell a turn. Really hard for Underworld Breach when you can only get 1 spell, and that would have to be Underworld Breach. Grafdigger's Cage to limit where people can cast spells from, Rest in Peace to remove the graveyard as a resource, Sanctum's Prelate and Chalice of the Void to stop most spells from being cast, and even an Uba's Mask to turn card draw into a temporary resource and not a long-term advantage. And Drannith Magistrate really loves the Uba's Mask, let me tell you. Now with Stacks decks, and Heliod in particular, we need to take special care regarding layering Stacks effects in play. Usually you don't want to deploy more than 1 type of the same effect, unless it provides additional taxing. If you have a Thalia Guardian of Thraben out, you can cast a Thorn of Amethyst and it makes things even harder for people. To counterpoint that, if you have a Hushwing Gryph out and you have a Hushbringer in your hand, it makes very little sense to cast the Hushbringer because it's not providing an additional taxing effect or limiting your opponent, and it then exposes both of them to any piece of removal, like a Toxic Deluge or a Pyroclasm. Usually you would only want to deploy that second layered effect if it's an alternative card type. So you could deploy a Torpor Orb and a Hushwing Gryph at the same time because they're not subject to generally the same removal pieces, and it would not give your opponents a space to get a enters the battlefield trigger. Now with all of our different stacks effects, we do want to note what we aren't running. We aren't running Winter Orb, Curse Totem, or Null Rod type effects. Particularly, we can't really break parity with a Winter Orb. We don't have creatures for mana, and we can't reliably tap it like an Urza deck. And so it's definitely not the stacks we want to run. It's going to slow us down, most likely more than our opponents. Also, for Curse Totem and Null Rod, Well, we're reliant on artifact creature abilities in order to combo off. So either of those pieces of stacks would actually prevent us from winning the game. Now, beyond playing stacks and slowing down your opponents until you're able to get either Triskelion or Walking Ballista in your hand, there is one other major piece of piling advice that we need to talk about. Mainly, we aren't playing black cards, meaning that we can't play Ad Nauseam or Necropotence. However, this most likely doesn't apply to the rest of the table, and they're most likely running Ad Nauseam or Necropotence, and we need to pressure life totals. This means that we need to turn our hate bears into an army, and using Heliod to give them lifelink and then buffing them and making bigger and bigger hate bears is part of our game plan. It reduces the resources that our opponents have while also using the creatures that we're putting into play. So we're fighting at both ends of the problem. We're slowing them down and then giving them less time to survive. So if we don't have a proactive play for the turn, paying the 1 and a white to Heliod is a very worthwhile investment for us. That's really it. We have a great A+B combo with our commander, lots of creatures that can apply pressure to our opponents, and those same creatures providing lots of stacks effects to slow them down while we get our combo online. Play the stacks, live the stacks, laugh at stacks, and machine gun down your opponents while not letting them cast more than one spell a turn. And with that, I've been Stacked Out. I'm Cameron. See you guys next time on the Lab Maniacs.